Welcome back to another episode of Wine 101. Last week we spoke about popular white wine varietals, but this week we'll be talking about my absolute favorite, popular red wine varietals. So red wine is something that most people enjoy, even when they don't really understand it, as it's easy to drink. Most are embarrassed to admit it, but there are newbie wine drinkers who wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a Merlot and a Syrah. Well, I'm here to give you a judgment-free explainer on every major red wine varietal. Let's jump into these popular red varietals, starting with my absolute everyday favorite, Pinot Noir. So this is the world's most popular light-bodied red and is known for its red fruit and spice flavors, accompanied by its soft tannin finish. Hands down, the very best Pinot Noirs are produced and aged in Burgundy, France. Pinot Noirs are often silky and fruity, but with a little more complexity than a Merlot. Compared to other wines, it has a lighter body and is less overtly tannic. This makes it very drinkable, yet respectable as a wine. Pinot Noirs are great for people who just want something fairly accessible, but who also want something a little more interesting. So there's often an underlying earthiness to this wine that makes it a little more compelling and a great complement to so many foods. I actually love it paired with some homemade teriyaki glazed salmon. Merlots, on the other hand, are loved for their black cherry flavors, supple tannins, and smoky or chocolatey finish. This luscious, velvety, fruity, soft, and very drinkable grape yields a softer, smoother texture compared to wines like Cabernet Sauvignon. Two styles to consider when picking a bottle of Merlot are more international styles, where the grapes are grown in hot climates, or overripe grapes grown in a modern climate. These are full body, low or medium in acidity, medium levels of tannin, and high levels of alcohol. Less common styles are more elegant, grown in cooler climates, and have some more herbal notes, a little more tannin, and a little more acidity. It's fairly food versatile and definitely doesn't demand being paired with fatty, saltier foods like a Cabernet Sauvignon. Merlot pairs well with lightly spiced dark meats. Some of the best proteins to match with Merlot are in the middleweight category, so think roast duck, turkey, and leaner cuts of beef. Juicy, cooler climate Merlot wines pair well with roasted vegetables. When it comes to Merlot, it's all about the sauce. So grab a bottle and try it with beef bourguignon. Let's move on to Zinfandel, also known as Primitivo. It isn't really grown or found in too many places outside of the United States. It's quite fruity, has a high amount of spice, and is generally pretty high in alcohol content. Zinfandel is the fourth most planted wine grape in California, after Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Pinot Noir. It performs well in warm, sunny regions and is very sensitive to terroir because of its thin skins. White Zinfandel, which many of you are familiar with, is a kind of rosé. Expect some sweetness and aromas of bright red fruits, strawberry, raspberry, cherry, and rich citrus. Many Zinfandels have a cherry or strawberry leaning juice fruitiness about it. It's lower in tannins with a fuller, smoky body, making it pretty easy to drink while maintaining some complexity. On the palate, expect a full-bodied, lush, and mouth-filling wine, usually with elevated alcohol levels. On high-quality Zinfandel, expect tannins to be quite high, remembering as well that styles vary by producer. Zinfandels pair well with spices that embellish the wine's cinnamon spice subtleties. or the hearty, bold flavors make it a natural companion for the rich and flavorful world of barbecue. Try ribs, grilled chicken, pulled pork, pork chops, blackened salmon, or even bacon wrapped tenderloin and burgers. Fair to note, white Zinfandel isn't actually white at all, it's actually pink. But there is a rare white mutation of the grape, Syrah or Shiraz. These two wine varietals are often confused because they are the same grape genetically. Syrah, typically associated with France, is leaner in profile than Shiraz, which is actually an Australian blend. Petite Syrah is a different grape variety altogether and is the genetic offspring of Syrah and the rarer Pelorussin. Syrah is responsible for some of the darkest full-bodied red wines in the world. It has dark fruit flavors from sweet blueberry to savory black olive. When you taste Syrah, you'll be greeted with a punch of flavor that has a spicy, peppery note in the aftertaste. Traditionally in France, Syrah is blended with light-bodied Grenache and even richer Mourvedre to create the classic Côtes du Rhône blend. Old world Syrahs from Italy and France tend to have more acidity and earthy, herbaceous aromas. New world style Syrah wines from Australia, the US, and South America usually have more fruit-driven characteristics with lots of spice. It is also one of the rare red wines that pairs well with spicier foods. It has a high fruit profile and Indian or even Thai food won't overpower it. It works well with softer, stinkier cheeses. The fat texture and earthy flavors in a cheese will absorb the high tannin in the Syrah. Cabernet Sauvignon, the world's most popular red wine grape, is a natural cross between Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc from Bordeaux. Cabernet Sauvignon is loved for its high concentration and age-worthiness. Bold, high in acidity, savory, elegant, and dry, this is a wine for serious wine drinkers. It may be complex, but it's also something most casual wine drinkers are used to drinking. Bordeaux is very much the OG Cabernet Sauvignon growing region. It's here where you'll find some of the most savory and age-worthy varietals, performing best on gravelly soils in Bordeaux. So, if you're looking for a great Cabernet Sauvignon wine, look to the sub-regions of the Meadow and Grapes. North Coast, California. This includes Napa Valley, Sonoma, and some lesser-known regions that produce outstanding Cabernet Sauvignon. It's the most planted variety of grape worldwide and probably the most well-known among consumers. Some Cabernet Sauvignon wines are sumptuous and fruity, others are savory and smoky. It all depends on where the Cabernet is grown and how it's made into the wine. The rich flavor and high tannin content in Cabernet Sauvignon make it a perfect partner to rich grilled meats, peppery sauces, and dishes with high flavor. Cabernet also needs fat to latch onto, so if you're at a steakhouse, please indulge in a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon. I definitely enjoy it with a bottle of 19 Crimes Cabernet Sauvignon. We'll see you next week, and happy sipping.